Pompey Sound. Updates, the latest from Fratton Park, on the hour, every hour. Fueled by Piglet's Pantry. Click pigletspantry.co.uk to get your fill.
Fans of Saturday's visitors Hull City have been dished a stark lesson in just what the costs will be if they are relegated come Saturday tea time. 3 points at Fratton Park will guarantee their safety. Anything less and they will be at the mercy of other results. Hull media have been looking at the impact of moving down from the Championship to League One. And it's a salient exercise for Pompey fans who will be aware that until the turnaround in fortunes it was a reality that was facing Pompey. Hull's owner Akon Ilikli has proved to have deep pockets, but has come to need them since estimates from accountancy suggests Hull have been losing £500,000 a week. League One clubs suffer a significant drop-off in TV money from the Championship, with Sky's £935 million deal showing preference for Championship games. Championship clubs bring in between £3 and £4 million per year from the new deal plus per match fees which vary between £500,000 and £1.5 million.
And on top of that, there's attendance fees and season ticket sales. You've got sponsorship to think about. You've got a whole range of possible revenues that are going to be lost to the club. And the club is in deep debt. And the club will have to sell players. So being selfish about this whole thing, we find ourselves wondering whether there's any players at Hull that we'd be interested in, because although the team have gone down, they've got some pretty good players who can certainly function very well at the top end of the Championship. And one springs to mind immediately. And so the question that was asked a couple of days ago in the media, which is, would you have Alex Robertson back, now becomes, would you have Abu Kamara back? Because he may very well be available. There may be a clause in his contract. It's a fairly common thing. We understand that players will put into their contract or have put into their contract by their agents in agreement with the club that should the club suffer a fail in fortunes, significant fail in fortunes, then that player will have the right to some sort of independence and be able to say, OK, I'm going to exercise this clause. And although I'm signed to you for 3 years, if anybody wants to come and buy me, and I guess there's a minimum fee, who knows, those contracts must be thick as the old telephone directories, then I can go. We don't know how much he was sold by Norwich, wasn't it, to Hull for? Estimates have been between £3 and £5 million. So let's say £4 million. Let's say £4 million. What could we pick him up for? Pick him up. Invest in him for if he became available, and might be in competition with other clubs, of course. Depends on how well he's done at Hull. We know how well he did at Pompey, but how is he perceived elsewhere? And it might be that he is just a well-kept secret. So if we'd want him back, could we get him back for considerably less than the £4 million, which some believe is the amount that Hull paid for him? A lot will depend, of course, on how much of a big problem, the kind of debts that the owner of Hull has been running up in recent times, and how much of that he wants to claw back. If he wants to get bits and pieces back in, kind of have a fire sale, as it were, then Abu might be available. He hasn't been lighting up the sky at Hull, but then nobody has. And it's hard to play well in a team that isn't getting the results. 1 or 2 Pompey players found that to their cost during the first third of this season. They weren't able to perform to the best of their abilities because the club was fighting a bit of a losing battle at the time. But when fortunes turned round, certain people started to flourish. And that is no criticism of them. That is how it is to be a human being, how it is to be somebody who depends on performance for their income, for their salary. So, over to you. Would you want Kamara back? I bet you would. And do you think that the Eisners should stump up the cash for it? Of course, many people will think that's easy. Many people who have never written a cheque for £2 or £3 million, and there's nobody listening to this who's ever written a cheque for £2 or £3 million, I pretty much guarantee it, OK, knows what it's like to write a cheque for £2 or £3 million out of your own money, your own hard-earned cash. Down the years, you've gradually managed to scrape together a couple or £3 billion. You don't want to blow it. So, that's the talking point, I think, today, from what little news there is as we go into the last game of the season. A bit of a damp squib because it doesn't matter to us, but it will matter enormously to the players out on the pitch in hopefully their traditional gold colours. And the fans down at the away end, we have to show them some sympathy, really, because it's not a very nice place to be. They must be, at this moment in time, this Thursday afternoon. Wait a minute. Hold your horses, Boyd. This Wednesday afternoon going into Thursday morning, right on the edge, fingernails bitten down to the quick. However, we're not going to give anything away come Saturday. But come Saturday, if Hull go down, will there be a phone call between Rich Hughes and whoever is the sporting director at Hull, just to find out whether there's a possibility that his agent is worth talking to? Hope so. What do you say? The injured duo of Paddy Lane and Ibain Bowett have provided Pompey with some welcome news. Both took part in Blues training on Wednesday as significant strides continue to be made in their individual battles to regain full fitness. And while neither will feature against Hull City in the final game of the season at Fratton Park on Saturday, head coach John Messina revealed they'll be available to play full roles in pre-season training when the players report back for duty following their summer break at the end of June. Summer transfer window signing Bowett is yet to kick a ball for the Blues after the centre-back ruptured a tendon in his knee training shortly after completing his permanent move from Premier League Fulham. Meanwhile, Lane, a key player in Pompey's League One title success last season, suffered a knee injury against Blackburn Rovers in January, and with the 24-year-old requiring surgery, he's subsequently been forced to sit out the Blues' last 20 games on their successful attempt to secure championship safety. As one would expect, both players have had to work hard, often on their own, to get themselves back to a position where they can rejoin their teammates on the training pitch. Their returns this week have helped swell the number of players taking part in training to 26, a figure that Mousinho joked was the healthiest he'd experienced all season. And no one was more pleased than Mousinho to welcome the duo back into the fold, even if their comebacks remain further down the line. He says this: "We trained with a lot of players today, so we trained with about 26 players because Ibain and Paddy trained, so that was really good news from our point of view. We've managed to get them back out on the grass, a slightly modified session, but really positive for the pair of them, and we're looking to have them back for pre-season now. It'll be a bit more of an elongated summer for them and less rest than everybody else, but I'm really pleased to have them back. And overall, it looks like in this stage of the season, we've got the highest number of players available that we've had all year, the fittest squad we've ever had. So it will be a programme about making sure that they keep going with the strength and the recovery from the injury, and they're obviously training now, so they're close to being fully fit without playing the games. And so it'll be a bit of a late-stage rehab for them and probably come back a week or two earlier than everyone else." Bowett and Lane's return to training comes hot on the heels of the comebacks made by Callum Lang, Rob Atkinson and Connor Shaughnessy in recent weeks. All three are once again expected to be available for the game against Hull, but there's no comeback yet on the cards for Zach Swanson. The right-back has been unavailable since the Blues win against Norwich with a heel injury and is not expected to feature against relegation-threatened Hull. And there isn't a word to describe, irony comes close, but there isn't a word to describe the intense irony of the situation, which is that Pompey have secured their safety in the Championship whilst never really being at more than three-quarters strength. There have been at least half a dozen players out with injury, sometimes more. We played the first half of the season, with such a dearth of centre-backs that we had a right-back for the first 7 or 8 games. We had a centre-back who is no longer in favour at all, Riley Towler, for whatever reason. So that makes him like a 5th choice or a 6th choice, for goodness sake. But anyway, that's how it is. A converted central midfield player and a left-back, shoring up the such important positions of centre-halves at Pompey. And we managed to cobble together some results. And that was an absolutely fantastic achievement. And now here we are. We find ourselves now with 1 game left, and it doesn't matter. And we've got a full squad. Is there a God? If there is, he's got a tremendous sense of humour. We finally have a full squad. We finally have almost too many centre-halves. And they're going to be fit and ready to play against Littlehampton. You know what I mean by that. They're going to be fit and ready to play something, some sort of contribution in pre-season. And obviously we hope that they're going to be ready as well to play in the Championship next season. But how ironic that the squad will be at its strongest once the season is ended, and all we've got to look forward to in terms of competitive matches is those 3 lovely friendlies that we always play in the build-up towards I'm going to say meaningful. Everyone would know what I mean. It's not being a slight on Bognor and what have you. A meaningful friendly against the likes of Bristol City, who knows. We do have good links at Bristol City, don't we? Remember that? Always remember that when it comes to the conversations that might be going on about Rob Atkinson. Anyway, no, there is no word strong enough to transport the idea of the irony that Pompey now, for the first time this season, have a fully fit, almost, a fully fit squad. Just when we needed it the least. Isn't life strange?
Galvin, 20, has caught the eye in the NIFL Premiership this season, and Dungannon Swifts may well face a battle to keep hold of him amid reported attention from elsewhere. He made 35 appearances in all competitions in this campaign, 24 of which have come in the league, and he has scored 7 goals. As per the news, Pompey are not pursuing a deal for him in the next transfer window. They have their eyes on other targets instead as they gear up for another year in the Championship. John Mousinho's side drew 1-1 away at Sheffield Wednesday last time out, with Harvey Blair getting their goal at Hillsborough. They are currently sat in 16th place in the table with 1 game left to play. Next up is a home clash against Hull City this weekend on the final day. The Tigers need to win to stay up.
You can see how this rumour, though, got going, and since it's spring and everywhere's budding up, we can use a horticultural metaphor. It was seeded probably by the simple fact that I believe, I might be wrong, that Devlin has a Dungannon connection, and that therefore there may be parties involved at Pompey and with Galvin's people who have some kind of relationship. It might be a third distance, a third cousin twice removed type relationship, but they know of each other, perhaps. And the thing that's actually provided the fertiliser for it is, of course, his future is being looked after by people who are aware that strikers usually command the biggest transfer fees out there on the pitch, more than goalkeepers, defenders and midfield players. A player who can score goals commands a much bigger fee than any of those other players. So those sorts of things coming together have sparked the rumours that clubs such as us and who else, Wrexham was it, and Charlton were supposed to be interested in this guy, maybe had taken a phone call from this guy's agent if he has one. I suspect he does, very likely that he does, and that's enough for the agent to be able to say that those clubs are showing some interest. However, Pompey appear to have been absolutely adamant that they are not pursuing him, which, as we know from experience over the last couple of years under John Mousinho, might amount to absolutely nothing, and it could be all part of the smokescreen of negotiation, which we're pretty good at now at Pompey, and keeping our cards close to our chest, which we're very, very good now at Pompey, or at least the management team are. So, no Tony Galvin, or is there?